Oh, how did that happen?
I'm gonna edit that part out.
No. What's up, guys? It's Third Gear Grind. We're here in the T-Triple-G garage, and this is a 12-valve VR6 GTI that I've picked up. And basically, someone did the timing components on this engine, messed up the timing, and unfortunately now the valves are bent. So we're gonna see how bad the damage is, see how it skipped and whatnot, what went wrong, and I'm gonna show you how to do it and fix it properly. So we're gonna just crank this thing over and see what happens.
We're gonna see if she'll crank over by hand.
On crank bolt, try and spin it. Oh. So the engine does spin over, but I can feel the valves hitting the pistons, so they're probably bent. We're gonna go ahead and pull the spark plugs and stick my borescope down in there and see what's going on. Did I get that one already? Oh, here it is. All right, so we've removed all of our spark plugs. We found number 6 has a decent amount of oil on it. The rest are pretty dry. So I think we're gonna start with scoping number 6 with our borescope tool. This borescope is pretty unique because it not only has a camera that faces straight down so we can see the piston, but it also has a side camera so we can actually see the condition of the valves, if there's a bent valve or whatnot. Okay, so I see some marks, but it's not destroyed. So we go in with the borescope, and in cylinder 6, we see this valve that's open. Now, as we rotate the piston, the valve is actually staying open the whole time. So interesting. We look in the next cylinder, cylinder 4, and we've got the intake and exhaust valve are both closed. We've rotated it over, and they're still closed. So the camshaft is not moving. Why is that? So we took a peek at the camshaft chain, and that is also not moving. So that indicates to me some sort of an issue with the gear, the intermediate gear, or some sort of bottom end timing. So that's going to be our next bet. Now, we scoped all of the bores, and luckily there's no catastrophic damage to the tops of the pistons or whatnot. So we will be able to save this by removing the head and replacing bent valves, or potentially just replacing it with another cylinder head, since we have a complete one that we could throw in with a new head gasket and head bolts. So we're gonna have to take the transmission off of this car. It's 5-speed transmission, so it's fairly small and light, no problem. Support the engine and remove the cylinder head. All right, guys, so we've done a bunch of teardown. The front end went into service position. We removed the intake manifold, the valve cover, the side cover, and we have discovered the problems. So the reason our camshafts aren't moving is not because the chain snapped or anything. It's because the intermediate gear has fallen off. Bolt has backed out, and now we have bent valves. Oh, here is our spectacular. So actually, 2, 4, 6. So 8 out of 12 valves here are okay, but we got 1, 2, 3, and 4 definitely bent valves. All right, so with the cylinder head off, we still need to retime the engine with the cylinder head back on. So we got to take the transmission out and fix that intermediate gear and the rest of it. So here we are removing the transmission. All the bell housing bolts are off. It's on the tranny jack right now. I'm gonna lower both of them together. Oh, splooshed. Changing the angle of the engine. We're gonna see a lot of coolant. So we just need to lower it enough to where the mount on the trans clears the frame rail. Technically, we could remove that mount, make it a little easier, but O2Js are small enough. Okay. Bring it down a bit. Perfect. Wow, I've never seen that before. A headless VR with no tranny in the car. So that's how we're doing it today. All right, so now we have the camshafts removed. We were able to take the springs and retainers off the valves. and we're basically just gonna pop out all the bent valves and test the rest of them to make sure that they aren't slightly bent to where we're losing compression. But as you can see here, that's what we're dealing with. This one's pretty bent. Sometimes you can also get damage to your valve guide, so we're gonna check that out, make sure that's all right for our new valves.
Okay.
I think it was just the valve stem that was holding us up. This one's like bent right at the valve guide. All right, so we've got a fully assembled cylinder head with no more bent valves, and the block deck is all cleaned up, ready for our new head gasket. All right, so before we put this cylinder head back on, we want to get the transmission back on the engine so we can lower the car down and have an easier time. So that's what we're doing right now. We've got the lower timing confirmed and good, and we've got the clutch and flywheel reinstalled, and now we're gonna put the transmission back in. All right, so now we have the cylinder head installed. We've got the head bolts in. We threw some RTV underneath our head gasket where it seals against the timing cover. We're gonna do the same thing on the top of the head gasket so that we avoid having any sort of oil sweating through the timing covers, since there's no head bolts holding that down. Right now, before we installed this head, the cams and the pistons were rotated off of TDC. Once the head was sat on the cylinder block, we rotated the cams back to TDC and then rotated the engine back to the TDC. Now we're gonna time it. Yeah, rotate it that way slightly, just so we can get it on. Yeah, that's probably okay. There we go. Now rotate it backwards slightly. Yep, that's good. All right, so we have the cylinder head torqued down. All the side covers are reinstalled with the tensioner, and we're just putting on the valve cover and the intake, the exhaust, and etc. Transmission's all ready to go. Clutch is bled. Yeah. So we're on track for a first start pretty soon here. Man, like, what is that shit? Huh? Bro. What the hell? All right, well, we're doing our first start now. So let's see what happens when we hook up the battery. Okay. Let's give her a crank-a-roni.
Kill it. What did I?
Wow, I really did not expect it to fire up on literally the first revolution. That's cool. Seems like it runs okay. Should I fire it up again? Or?
Mm-hmm. Ready. Dang. She is quiet, sounds so good.
First drive. Nice. The eBay seatbelt covers. What is that?
I know.
On the dash?
I know, right? People are so stupid. Sounds good. Feels pretty good.
Thank you. No. Oh man, that's a bit much. What the hell? No. Of course they have that on this car. What? That's normal driving. I'm not asking it to do that. That's crazy. That's a bit much.